Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity. I'm your host, Colors Fade. It's episode 30. We're in Dyrford Village. And this particular quest, when we were on the last map over here at Stormwall Gorge, there was the big circular area with the stairs down inside it. If you could unlock a certain thing, we need an item, is the point. And that item can be found in the Woodend Plains. It says right here on the quest, we need to, a rival adventuring group, Bion's Giant Slayers, was sent but has been unsuccessful to find the mighty and Gwithan weaponry from the ruins of Leila Ramen. So we have to go get that thing from them. I kind of want to do that, but let's see what we can do here first. This group, what is this guy? Damn Gallowayne for monsters like that. And damn the rest of the world, Rumbald. A man paces angrily in front of a wrecked animal pen, his sun-weathered face twisted with ire. He's so wrapped up in his fury that he doesn't seem to notice you.
Gallowayne slobbering beasts, blazing bloody effigy, thrice damn salty wench and her soggy.
What's wrong?
That monster stole my pigs, traipsed into the village, tore down my pen, and made off with the whole damn herd. Just left a few little runts. What am I supposed to do with them?
Calm down and tell me what happened. He bites his lip and closes his eyes. His nostrils flare with each quick, angry breath.
Wife's always telling me to mind my temper. Just breathe deep and count to 10.
An ogre moved into the area not long ago.
Folk have been seeing glimpses and tracks out in the wood, but it seemed to be staying away from town. Or so we all thought until it made off with my pigs. Now everyone's afraid it's going to develop a taste for kith, if it hasn't already.
Did you see the ogre take your pigs?
What else would have destroyed my pen and made off with my herd? And at the same time, the rest of the village is seeing a 10-foot monster in the forest. I know it's too late to get my pigs back, but it set my mind at ease to see that thing's head shorn from its neck. In fact, you bring its ugly pate to me and I'll trade you for something that's of less use to a farmer like me than to a rowdy-looking sort like yourself.
I've been sent to find an Orland named Nifri. Know where she is?
Never heard of her.
What do you know about the ogre, then?
It's the same as any other, I'm sure. A big, ugly son of a bitch with a nasty temper and an appetite to match. Rygel could tell you more. He claims to have seen it in the wood. You can find him in his shop right by the broken tower. Regardless, I'm sure it's nothing a big fellow like yourself couldn't handle. Need something else?
Farmer's Blight. I don't think I did this quest when I played this game originally. I don't remember it. Now, Grieving Mother is somewhere around here as well. Or maybe she's down here. If you don't want to play as a Cipher in the game, but you want one in your party, she's your companion option. If you don't take a mercenary, of course. This middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped down to her knees. Her hands are working at separating stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads off long, fibrous stems with a paring knife. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small, cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. Excuse me? The woman doesn't respond. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with a steady rhythm. She may be deaf. There's no indication she heard you. At first glance, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman. Unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seems more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. Yet you suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetables before her any longer. She's weaving, and the vegetable pots are now missing. She still pays you no mind, her brown locks torn and snagged from the lack of washing, like many of the townsfolk you've seen. There is a strange blur to her. Even the motions of her hands seem to be playing with threads that lack color, in a shape that lacks interest. It may be that she is half-minded or deaf, but something feels wrong. As you watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence, and you have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what your eyes are showing you. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands. As you follow the streams of her locks downwards, the hairs become long and black, splitting off into threads of black and silver and wrapping around her hands. She is forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of you, each finger long and sharp like a series of knitting needles, almost hypnotic. The silver and black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing it. And suddenly you are calm. You are on a plateau almost the height of a tower, several stories high. Plateau is like a table lying beneath a clear sky, and beneath the plateau, surrounding it in all directions, a forest hazy with mist, although whether it is an actual mist or distance or a recollection. Resting in the curve of a natural arch above you is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on you and the event unfolding before you. The plateau has soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around you. You feel different, not disembodied, but you feel your body. Your physical contours have changed along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene gains color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts like mist roiling softly into a sealed chamber. And the chime coaxes you deeper into the memory, and you're certain it is a memory, a warm one. You are on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground, silver, white, shimmering like Adra. The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You feel the heat on your skin, your wrists and your hands. Your hands are in motion, weaving, not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Barath's wheel. Your hands are wet. Your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child, and you can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in your grip, its head slick, wet from the womb. The hands you are wearing, inhabiting, have done this many times, and they are practiced and confident. You can feel distant pains in your own head as the head emerges. Stream fluid from the womb helping the newborn slide forth, and a woman's labored breathing, crying out. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting through the haze of memory. You cannot see where they are coming from, but they are close. They are meant as a comfort, that you are certain. And coaxed by your hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again. Almost eagerly, the child comes forth, and as it does, your hands are in motion, weaving, moving along the length of a soft, wet rope. No, an umbilical cord from the legs of the naked woman before you. You are holding a small child still wet from the womb. The child cries out, its cry full of life, full of soul, the ringing of chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges, as if you are viewing a soul from within a soul. But it is there, it is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and at her first cry her hands reach out for it. You surrender the child to her, something you have done many times before, And as your hands move, the chimes echo the movement, and you realize the chimes are hanging from cords on your wrists. And where once they echoed in the memory, they are now echoing in the child's mind as well. The chimes are intended to welcome the child, to be its first gentle greeting into the world, a soothing sound guided by the tender motions of your wrists. You are helping to weave its thoughts, its perceptions, and the experience. The woman laughs with a ragged joy, laughing from a parched throat. Her emotion seems soothed, but the physical demands of labor have left her exhausted. But the child is here. The child is safe. And all atop the plateau is peaceful, calm, distant, flattening out as the memory persists. With effort, the scene bleeds of color, and your mind becomes your own again. There is no pole, no anchor, yet the sound of the chimes remains, as they existed in the memory. They sound here as well, and they are hanging from the woven braids on the wrists of the woman before you. Even as your head is spinning from the touch of her mind, the sound of the chimes on her wrists is sharp and clear, as if coaxing you back to the real world. The woman still sits before you, but she is nothing like what you first saw. She is wearing black, threaded garments that drape over her form like streamers. Her hair is streaks of black and run through with silver. Her age is almost impossible to tell. She simply feels old, like a crumbled watchtower. And as she lifts her head to face you, you see that her hair is draped across the front of her face like a veil. What you first saw of her was a mental glamour of some sort, unconscious, and you realize what you see is not what the world sees, and you are perhaps the first to see her true self. Still, you don't sense a threat in the realization. If anything, you feel a sense of relief from the figure. You can hear her thoughts, and she is glad to at last be seen. Who are you?
I am seen, but the eyes of others do not remember. You were the first to see me as I am, the call stripped aside.
There is a light touch on your mind, a caress, and her left hand mirrors the motion of the touch, reaching up to the air between you. You hear the chime on her wrist sound softly. Her hand moves as if pantomiming, resting on your cheeks at a distance, and she speaks softly and slowly.
Your memories. A cadence of wheels on a caravan track. Fever. Questions by running water. Violence in a night's campfire. Arrows in the dark. And fleeing. Falling rock and cracking stone. And a storm. The storm. The storm that brushed you. Did its screaming wake you from your mind's cradle? Your memory of it is painful. Its cry is difficult to ignore. It's like a child. Many children crying out.
I encountered a bivouac, yes, and it did something to me. Her hand withdraws shyly, chime sounding softly once again. The woman stands uncertainly as if she has been sitting for some time, or is too weak to bear her own weight. You notice her cheekbones are tight, her face gaunt. Yet while her stance is weak, she seems determined to stand before you.
You are able to see me.
It is almost a question. You suddenly realize she does not seem to know what you saw when you looked at her, the image on the plateau. Yet the image was so clear, so sharp. You're surprised she didn't feel you there.
To see me is a rare gift. A watcher's gift.
It felt like a pathway between our minds, but strange, gentle.
So many questions, thoughts, whirling like storm winds. That storm still roars through you, deep beneath your thoughts, yet muted and secret, like an underground river. I cannot tell if it is carving new channels or eroding what keeps your true strength buried. The fact that you could hear it at all, survive it, is something few have ever done. Your power will grow stronger with each soul you touch, as it allowed you to reach out to mine.
There is a silence, and although it seems to last for but a heartbeat, in your thoughts it stretches out between the two of you like a pull between your minds. You blink, take a breath, and then you realize she wants to ask you a question, yet can't form the words, as if assembling them is painful, or there simply are not enough pieces. Do you wish to travel with me? You feel a wave of fear, gusted with the strength of relief, although oddly her expression does not change. Then fear dissipates, and you feel strength and certainty, as if the plateau from her memory lies beneath you, and a calm sky looks down upon you. Alright, so she's in our party, and we can do her personal quest at a point in time in the future. For now, who do we have here?
Welcome.
Hendina. A young woman leans against a wagon, one arm and one side of her face covered in bandages with raw, rippled flesh showing underneath. A minty tangy scent wafts from her dressing. She smiles painfully. Just ventured into town? I'm about dry on some of my stocks, but you're welcome to have a look. Do you know anything about the Ingwithan ruin nearby? Hard to throw a stone in the wilds without knocking over someone's sacred Adra pillars. Smart travelers avoid them. But if you're really set on sightseeing, Avowed could point you in the right direction. He keeps up the little temple on the northwest edge of town.
Welcome.
Well, you said your supplies are limited. What happened? It's the damn roads. Can't reach none of my suppliers, so I'm stuck with whatever I can scrounge up in the wood. Deer cap, river reed, and the like. That's well and good, but most potions require something stronger too. Troll skin, vessel bone, what have you. And then there's the really rare ingredients. Things you'd never be able to afford, let alone find on your own. Come on, spit it out. And Dinah winces as the rest of the story comes tumbling out of her. I've been keeping an eye on a drake's nest, east of town, at Dyrford crossing. The beast stayed just long enough to lay a clutch and move on. Thank the Sky Mother it wasn't a full-grown dragon. She looks at her bandaged arm and grimaces. Fresh eggs are much more useful than the ones that get passed between merchants or left in nests for weeks or more. And that clutch looked to be at its peak. Thought I'd see about getting an egg, but I didn't realize so many of them had already hatched, or that young worms were so territorial. I could get the eggs for you. She keeps her gaze steady, but you see hope kindling in her eyes and twitching at the corners of her mouth. I sure hope you're not leading me on. I don't think I could stand getting burned again. She bites her lip. If you really mean to go after it, I'd certainly pay you. Just remember, big as they are, dragon eggs are fragile, and there's a lot more I can do with a whole one. I see. I'm looking for an Orlan. Oh no. Named Niffer. I didn't see an Orlan lady. I did see an Orlan lady headed into the Dracogen just the other day. Don't know what her name was, but she was acting real sneaky like. What's wrong with the roads? Brigands, looters, you name it. The gods may be hollowing out our babies, but it's grown folk that's rubbing out the rest of us. People are scrambling to Defiance Bay because they hear there's a healthy births there. And all those refugees and abandoned homes attract desperate sorts, like flies and dog shit. Show me your wares. What do you have? She's got all kinds of potions and all kinds of rare things. So if we need those things, that would be a good place to go. Okay. Speak with Biodma. Well.
That's fragrant.
Get a dragon egg. Okay. Can do that. Oh, and this person. We need to speak with someone in here, don't we? I think we do. Well then, what do we have here? Saban. And who is this person? Trigel. Yes.
Well met, friend.
A sturdy, broad-shouldered man wipes his hands on his slacks. He reeks of the same foul compound wafting from the vats, and his arms are stained with dye. He looks at your calloused hands and nods approvingly. Fellow tradesman, eh? I'd hate to say it, but you won't find much work here. Rumbald mentioned something about an ogre. Ha! He's hardly talked about anything else since those pigs of his went missing. The whole town's been worried about that monster. People are starting to see shapes in their windows at night, hearing its growl and the snoring of their mates. It would put a lot of minds at ease if someone got rid of it. He scrapes at red pigment under his fingernails. I sometimes venture into the wilderness, collecting ingredients for my dyes, mind you. I've seen tracks east of here, near the river. That couldn't have been anything else. Something else you need. What's in the collapsed tower? It's collapsed. Nothing. He rolls his eyes and shrugs. A few hides on stretching racks, and the tallow stench Dengler's always grumbling about. The rest of the keep's dust, just like the fool lady Thanu who tried to hold it. There's a bard at the inn who'll tell you the whole blazing story if you want to hear it. Have you seen Niffer? An Orland from Defiance Bay? I make it a point to keep out of other people's business. What do you have for sale? You got armor, exceptional daggers, fine daggers, the girdle of mortal protection. Decreases critical hit damage, minus 27% crit damage taken. I like that. And the troll hide belt, +1 endurance per 3 seconds. Those are all nice things to have. How much money do we have? We have a lot. I might just have to buy these. Let's trade that, and then from here, let's like sell all this. You can have all this stuff. You can have all that. Those. That. Okay, I like that. Let's figure out who we want to put where. What do we have? Fine sword. Decrease critical hit damage. What are you wearing for a belt? Nothing. Okay, I'm going to give that one to you. And the other one I'm going to give to Adair so you can have some hit points over time. So there's something in there, but we'd have to pick it. Okay, we'll go this way. Let's go to the inn.
Have you ever chased a skirt wizard? Or do you merely hide behind them?
Don't pawn your personal problems off on me.
They will use you, cast you off when it suits them. Never speak another word to you.
Maybe they just don't answer to fiery whore.
I like Aloth. Durance is still a jerk. Durance, there's a reason they don't like you. Villagers and someone named Sid. And if you have children, you might have read them stories when they were little. I read my daughter a lot of books, and my favorite one was Six Dinner Sid. It's about a cat that roams the neighborhood and everybody's feeding it, thinking they're the only ones feeding it, and he's getting 6 dinners out of the deal. And I'm pretty sure that my fat tuxedo cat is a version of Six Dinner Sid because she is huge, and I'm pretty sure she's going around the neighborhood finding free meals somewhere.
Hail,
I just
traveler.
want to find her. Surely even you can understand that.
A redhead stands by the fire, tuning her lute and plucking its strings. She hums snatches of a melody as she goes. First time the Dracogen. Normally I'd have a song ready, but I haven't quite worked out this tune yet. I'm writing some chants about the founding of this inn. Say, you interested in the story? I haven't finished the chants, but I could tell you about it all the same. Sure. Pelagina rolls her golden eyes and exhales for an excessively long time through her nose. It was built in the time of Hadrot's rebellion. An Adiran lady, Thanu, once had a keep here. One of the towers still stands, but the rest is said to be buried under the village. Anyway, she struck to the side of the empire, and a contingent of Duke Hadrot's Knights of the Crucible helped the farmers and colonists in the area turn her keep to rubble. This inn was the first building that sprang up from the ruin, built with some of the same bricks the colonists had pulled from the Lady Thanu's castle, they say. Supposedly, the quarterstaff of her chief wizard even got lost in the construction, mortared into a wall or nailed under a floorboard. Anyway, the inn was supposed to be a haven and a meeting place while the locals built their new town. Dear Woodens are an ornery lot, and the more these new neighbors met, the more they argued. They realized they didn't agree on much besides ousting the old lord. The biggest divide was over the Glanfathans and their nearby ruins. Hadrit's knights and their supporters wanted to keep the peace, but a group of misfits with more anarchic leanings that had formed in town wanted to go after the tribes the same way they'd gone after their lord. Soon the villagers were fighting with each other as much as with the Adirans. In the end, memories of the Broken Stone War and the War of Black Trees were fresh enough that the Duke's soldiers won the day. Most of the other villagers came around eventually, but some of the core troublemakers left to join the front lines of the War of Defiance, and others, I've heard, found their way into the Guided Compass, the most forward-looking of the Glanfathan tribes. I don't know if I believe that part myself, but it makes a good story. There's a portrait of one of the chief rabble-rousers and his rival in the peacekeeping faction. Someone's idea of a joke. I don't think they were particularly amused. Well then.
We're decent folk, my lord. Perhaps you should leave and check the wilds.
Interesting.
Welcome!
The innkeeper digs inside a mug with a dirty rag. His eyes, under his thick brows, are tired but watchful. He gives you a quick nod as you approach the bar. Don't see many travelers these days. Something I can do for you? What was your exchange with the nobleman about? He looks up from polishing his tankard and glowers at the lord. Folk around here, decent. They mind their own business. You want to stick your nose in it, go talk to him yourself. See. Okay. Let's see what you have for food and drinks. Actually, what I want to do is see camping supplies. That'll work for me. So here's an interesting thing. It said that I would get stronger the more people I inspected. I want to look something up about that. So the game tells you that if you talk to characters with unique names, you'll become stronger as a watcher, but that doesn't seem to be an actual mechanic in the game. They're really there just for flavor. The man wears Adir-style robes, simple but elegant. His fine leather shoes look like they were made for padding around indoors, yet they're caked with mud. He yanks a lock of hair twined around his silk-gloved finger. His fine features are etched with anxiety.
My child is out there. Do they not understand?
My lord, we're doing everything we can. Unfortunately, these villagers...
Beasts take them all. I don't care how you do it, but find her.
Your child is missing, I take it.
Yes, Lady Alice. My daughter. I've asked around, but nobody in this mud hole has any concerns beyond their swine. They turn my men away like beggars and seem downright pleased to be of no use. But you're not one of my soldiers. And you look like you're used to getting your hands dirty, if you don't mind my saying so.
My lord. If you find her, tell her I won't be upset with her. She can come back and all will be well. I just want to make sure my Elise, my child, is safe. Nothing in the world is more important to me. All right.
Elise. Of course.
Describe her. She's a striking young woman. Bears more resemblance to her mother than to me. She has auburn hair and delicate, well-bred features. She must be, 28 or 29 now. Tell me about her disappearance. We'd stopped in Dyrford for a few days. On our fourth evening here, I was making plans to continue our journey. and Lady Elise was feeling unwell and went to bed. When I retired a couple hours later, I found that she had vanished. None of my men had seen her go, and no one at the inn knew where she was. Since then, my people have been combing the village, but we've yet to find a clue, and the locals have been no help. Why did you and Elise come to Dyrford? It was merely a stop along the way to Aina's Rest. However, she took ill shortly before our arrival, so it seemed prudent to allow her a few days to recover. What's in Aina's Rest? He frowns as if about to protest, but he gives in with a sigh. Lady Elise has reached an age where it is prudent for her to marry. Given this legacy business, I can't let her fertile years slip by, nor do I want her wound to fester in the presence of so many Hollowborn. It seems there would be more potential suitors in New Hamar or New Yarma. You think I haven't considered that? Arranging a suitable match is difficult. The best prospects for my child lay in Aina's Rest. Well, where's the rest of your family? Surely they wouldn't want to miss your daughter's betrothal. Lady Harond is ill-suited for travel, I'm afraid, and unfortunately, Elise has few other close relatives. My sister and her husband, Elise's aunt and uncle, of course, have been visiting Adir these past months. And as for siblings, Elise has none. My wife has only given birth to Hollowborn. Since Elise, that is. If you're looking for an eligible noble, I happen to know that Lord Radric of Gilded Vale is recently single. That would never do. Elves and folk cannot produce offspring together. I see. Let's go back to my previous questions then. I heard you arguing with the
A
innkeeper.
petty, small-minded man, just like the rest of them around here. I've been paying him an honest fee for board and bed, and yet he can't be bothered to stir himself to concern for my Elise.
This is why I'm hoping you can help. I should have never trusted these people around my child. All right. Your daughter. Well then. More quests. We're just rolling in them now. Okay. Well then. I wonder if we can get into this place then. This seems like this would have something to do with it.
Republics, huh?
Ah, for as long as they will allow.
Must be nice always knowing who you're supposed to serve.
Well, there are 5 of them, but even so, knowing who is easier than knowing how.
Let's see if this guy's going to give us a clue here now that we know what's going on. Maybe he'll let us in this door. What can you tell me about Elise Harond? Only that her father's men have been banging down doors and stirring up trouble looking for her. I never met her myself. Can we get... Stay out of my private quarters. That goes for you and Harond's bootlickers. Oh, really? What if I need to see in there? I'm not one for chit-chat, Amaua. Speak to Trigal if you've got questions. I don't like you not letting me in there. You're hiding something.
I'll get it open. Finished.
What are you?
Effigy's eyes. Saban, stop him.
Oh, really? Okay.
How may I help?
Tell you what. You stop that person.
Yeah.
I'll stop this person. Who's this? Durance?
What?
Durance. Smack these guys
I'm
around.
ready.
You can take him on. You can kick him down.
What is it?
You can smoke him. Okay. You, my friend, you got in the way of justice. Fine saber. Do you have a fine saber on you? I don't know. Fine dagger. Find out. What's in here? Take all that stuff. There's a key. Well. What the hell is in here? My son. Tomorrow I become the effigy. Tomorrow I become Skane's embodiment on Aora.
Tomorrow, my master chokes on his own whip. For months, we met by secret conclave to plot our landlord's demise, all the while working the fields as if our hearts were content. Skane teaches us to plot with the mind while keeping one's face impassive, inscrutable. Fair fights are for those with armies. The quiet slave is our whetstone, our focus. In his worship, our cause finds focus, clarity, and possibility. Tomorrow, my master chokes on his own whip. By the time you read this, I will be dead. Pray, Skane does not abandon me for speaking my plotting, but a son deserves to know how his father died, for I have volunteered to be the effigy. Skane will inhabit my body, using his old farmer's simple flesh as a puppet of godly rage. I have been shaved and anointed. Tomorrow morning I will be your father in name only, as my manhood will be removed, my nose and ears removed, and my useless mortal eyes will be replaced with flintstones through which Skane might see the world. My son, I am sorry for the lies I have told you these past few seasons, but Skane demands secrecy. Even your mother knows nothing of my furtive service to the quiet slave. Curse my name if you must, but never weep for me, for I die for the betterment of our community, to smite our Lord's corruption from the face of Aora. Tomorrow my master chokes on his own whip, for tomorrow I become the effigy. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Folks, I think I'm going to end the episode here. We have a place to crawl into. Well, maybe this isn't big. I got an idea that this leads to something bigger. Let's see what it looks like. If the map looks huge, we'll save it for tomorrow. Yeah, I think we're going to be down here for a while. Everyone, we will do this dungeon on the next episode. As always, if you dig it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Leave your questions and comments down below, and I will see you next time. Until then, happy gaming, everyone.